John, you talked in your book, and I've heard you speak before as well, about really the financial education and the understanding of the numbers and how things work as being something that has separated people historically. Can you talk a little bit about what you think is the big divide that needs to be crossed?
Yeah, so 70% of those, last time I checked, 70% of those who win the lottery are bankrupt 5 years after they win it. 70% of NFL players, National Football League players, are bankrupt 5 years after retirement. At least 70% of NBA players, same. How is it possible that you get a windfall like that and you're dead broke 5 years later? This sort of cross-fertilizes with this philosophy by some who say that money is everything, that if you this socialist dream, just take all the wealth in the world, distribute it equally to everybody, and we'll all be fine. Let's just take the money from the billionaires. And my philosophy is this: you do that, and 3 years later, the guys and girls who had the money before you distribute it will have it again. Because they got the memo, my last book, on how wealth creation, money, entrepreneurship, small business, real estate, tax code, financial literacy, the math of the world works, capitalism, and we did not. The collective we. We never, if you're African American and you were enslaved, you weren't allowed to even take the benefit of your labor. So that's as basic in America as it is. Work hard, come to this country, you get the benefit of the work of your hands. For 300 years, people don't think about this, Matt. For 300 plus years, Black people worked every day and never got paid a cent. In fact, the guy in the big house that they worked on, his house got bigger every day they worked. That's a reverse transfer of labor wages. Then you had capital. You couldn't take the money, turn it into an investment, capital, turn it into capital to start a business or own real estate or whatever. You couldn't create capital because, well, you were capital. If you were a slave, you were bought, sold, traded, insured, financed. This went on, Matt, until, this went on until really the late 1800s. The government sponsored. So you get out of that, then Lincoln says, okay, I'm gonna create a little bank and teach you about money, financial literacy. He gets killed. I'm gonna give you some land. It was a pilot program. That stops. There was never a reconciliation of the largest wealth transfer, reverse wealth transfer in American history, in the largest economy in the world. And then people say, okay, you're free now. You don't understand how money works. You don't have education. Your family structure is destroyed. Your self-esteem is in the toilet because we've been telling you ain't nothing for 300 plus years. You have no confidence. You don't understand the math of how the economy works, but good luck. Just bootstrap yourself. It is a ridiculous conversation when you reduce it to the math. Our poor white friends have the same treatment, just not as bad, because they came here as indentured servants, kicked out of Britain, really. The criminals were sent to Australia as a penal colony, which became a penal colony. And the poor whites who were not wanted in England were sent here to do something. Here's 50 acres, take your sickness and whatever, and go and work for some rich white people in this dirty place called America. And they came here as indentured servants. And that's where the word white was created, by the way, as a way to keep poor whites from becoming friends with blacks and aligning with wealthy whites. Wealthy whites didn't say you're rich like me or you got titles like me. They said, look, you are white like me. That's where the word white came from. Literally, America made the word white up. It didn't exist anywhere in the world for 200,000 years of modern American history, human history, and 200 million years of what we call upright human beings. It never existed, man. So you've got Native American Indians who are, at the largest alcoholism rate of anybody I know in this country, who never taught to be industrious. Poor whites, dying faster than anybody else. Little known fact, high school educated white men, never taught to be industrious. And now basically ghetto entrenched blacks, northern ghetto in rural areas too, but poor black population, which has all the skills and talent in the world, were never taught to be industrious or how this game works. Isn't it ironic, Matt, that these are the three groups at the bottom of the pyramid? Is it ironic or is it planned? No, not planned, but I don't think anybody really cares that much. But it is the three groups that were allowed to be adrift, there you go. They're the same three groups that aren't making it. They're exceptions to the rule. You and me are exceptions to that rule. Everybody knows our personal story. But the rule is not very nice to look at. And that is a sin. And that hurts the collective whole. It hurts GDP for America. Take the moral issues aside. We need everybody who can contribute to be gainfully employed or starting a business or doing something self-generated and contributing. I think that this is the next social justice work right now, really is social justice through an economic lens.